I'll talk about buying light fixtures in Japan.
Oh my god.
The real video game.
There's nothing else I've ever wanted more than that. That's the real roguelike.
Yeah, and the fucking your health meter is your bank account.
I mean, in America, that's the case anyway.
Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
USA.
Nope.
Yeah. God, I can't even.
Oh boy. When do you move, Andre? That's not next week, is it?
Wednesday.
Oh, it's Wednesday? Jeez, I
Yep.
thought it was further away.
And then I'll be without internet for like 2 weeks.
Right.
Woo.
At least. Or like at least 10 days or something. I don't know. Some stupid amount of time.
How's Karen doing? Is she ready?
Define ready.
Is she psyched?
Yeah, she's excited, but she's got a lot of packing to do that she's not excited about. She keeps talking about, I've got so many clothes. I'm like, well, you've got one big closet. Like, is that not enough? She's like, I don't think so. I'm like, what do you mean it's not enough? It's a giant closet.
It's like half of the apartment.
I mean, like, we're gonna have an office, and we could basically just turn that into like a walk-in closet.
Efficient use of space, really.
I mean, it's just the two of us. Like, we have a big living space, so I don't know. We'll see.
I look forward to all of the stories.
What else are we talking about today?
I don't know.
Video games.
Tetris, Trials, Warframe, Anthem. That's what I've got.
Okay. I'm going to talk about Anthem, probably Resident Evil 2 again.
Oh, yeah, I was going to pull up something for Resident Evil, right? Thank you for reminding me.
Mm-hmm.
I even said that to Allison. I was like, I'll bring up Resident Evil. Durr. All right. Resident Evil 2.
I want someone to make a game called President Evil.
I mean, that like the beginning of Resident Evil 6 does involve you killing the president.
It does.
Spoilers.
Oh, right. You haven't played that game.
That's literally the one I'm most excited about in the series, too.
It's literally the first thing that happens in Leon's campaign.
What if they made Ni no Kuni 2 cross Resident Evil?
That would be better than Ni no Kuni 2.
Jesus.
Dang.
Like,
Roasted.
I don't know. Game is just so plain.
Yeah.
It was incredibly disappointing.
But
It's almost like there's a lot of those coming out recently.
But like, it was still better than the first one, right?
Like gameplay.
Wait, did people not like the first one?
People like the combat for the first one was ridiculously complicated.
The AI was so bad.
I don't know. I didn't finish it, but the impression I got was that people adored it.
Like people like it's like a cult classic. Like
Yeah.
I enjoyed what I played, but also it was like real hard.
Yeah. I stopped at like the fourth major boss because my AI like companions, they just kept dying.
The genie?
Yes. It was the genie.
That's where I stopped too.
Yeah, because like they just kept dying and wouldn't use their skills, and I'm like, okay, we're good. That was cute.
Like,
but...
and like that's a mini boss, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's like really soon after like the volcano boss.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
All right,
right.
damn.
Should we do this?
Yeah.
Do you want to wait a minute and see if Erica makes it through traffic?
That's not gonna happen. I'm just.
All right.
I don't think, yeah.
So 58. Okay.
All right. Whenever you're good to go.
Hello and welcome to Gaming Fix, episode 58 on this February 24th or 23rd, depending on which side of the date line you're on. If you're on the right side of history. It's the 24th. I am your host, Andre Cole, aka your girl's favorite rookie cop, Leon S. Kennedy. I am joined today by Alex Galinas.
I still love that Doug Bowser is the new president of Nintendo.
Yep. Carl Bandicoot coming in for Sony this year. Pat Cotter.
Hello. I don't have a thing.
Allison Saigan.
Already missing Reggie.
Your body wasn't Reggie for this news.
Oh my God. No.
I hate this.
This is starting really poorly.
This is the worst part about Reggie leaving is all of this that we're gonna do last week.
God, I was really disappointed on Twitter. I was really disappointed in the Twitter discourse because there were too many of the same joke going around, and like I know.
Yeah,
weird. It's almost like you looked at Twitter.
I definitely made a "my body is ready" joke in the same like 2 comments after somebody else in a thread on Facebook.
Like
it was not good.
Like it was. Like, I know these people follow each other. Like they're Games Press people making all the same damn joke, and it's just, like, come on, guys, do better. Like there were some people who were like, no, I'm not going to make that joke, and then they made like Carl Bandicoot. That was credit to Danny O'Dwyer. Jeff Gerstmann had a good one, but like so and so eggplant wizard and whatnot. But yeah, is everyone saying like, "Oh, Bowser Nintendo"? Like, yeah, we know. No, come on, do something else. Anyway, Pat, you brought a video game this week, or maybe 2.
I played a bunch of video games this week, but the one that's probably one we'll talk about in a little bit, and the other one that is probably relevant is that I reinstalled and checked out Warframe for an evening this week again, which we've talked a little bit about in the past. I have played Warframe at various points in Warframe's lifetime. I played it when it was like the same corridors that you shoot in over and over and over and over and over again, like right after it launched. Mm-hmm. And I've kind of played it as every time they release a major update, I usually jump in and try to play and then don't see what's in the new update because I'm so far behind.
Not far enough. Yeah.
But this week I've been having very complicated feelings about Anthem that we're going to probably talk about later if I'm still here. But one thing that I thought about was like I should probably look at Warframe again because a lot of the issues that I have with Anthem are things that Warframe is a little better about, which is primarily like how thin the content is. The guns don't feel very different to me in Anthem, whereas they're extremely different in Warframe, that kind of stuff. And what I found was that the Warframe, the problem I've always had with Warframe is that it has always felt a little bit like floaty, like you're disconnected from the ground in it, sort of like you're playing an MMO kind of. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a hard thing to describe, but it doesn't feel like one thing Anthem does very well is when you're like running around on the ground, you feel heavy. It feels weighty. Like the javelins are physical objects in the space. And that's something that Warframe has kind of never done for me. And I'm not sure that it's any better about it, but the variety in the level design is really cool. That's something that continues to improve every time I go back and look at it. There's now a unique tile set for every planet, and it has like all of the planets in the solar system. The thing that was the coolest to me was I hadn't even heard of, or I didn't remember. Back in 2017, they added this environment called Cetus, which has space, kind of. Yeah, but it's almost more than that. Like it actually has totally different mechanics from a I don't know if grinding is the right word, but that kind of gets the point across. Like progression is what I should say. You when you land at Cetus, you're actually in like a city that has a bunch of different vendors and stuff in it, kind of like something like Fort Tarsis or a tower in Destiny, other players running around. And then you go out of the gates and you're in this massive open world environment where all of the like missions and bounties that you take in the city take place. And it's like a totally different, like the whole game it's like a different structure for how to play it. And that was really, really cool to see. And more recently, last fall, they added Fortuna, which is like their second big open world space, which I had heard about and kind of expected to be sort of like this, but I didn't know that there was one prior to it. And the coolest thing about it to me is it's not even just, if it had just been a place where you can farm crafting materials and now it's just, you can take 3 missions and go out and do them like in an MMO, that's fine. I wouldn't have been as impressed, but they also added whole systems. Like there's a whole weapon crafting system exclusive to the Cetus area that you can take out of it, but to build these weapons, you actually pick like what the striking element looks like. It can be a blade, it can be a club, etc. There's like 20 different ones. There's like 20 different like hafts, so you can make it like a pole arm or a sword or different lengths and different styles of things. You can make like flails and stuff like that. And then there's also like like other augment slots, like a pommel or something. It's like a kind of third piece to it. And all of them have different crafting requirements to make the different devices or the different components, and then you can put them together in different ways. That stuff is really cool. The hoverboard stuff that Fortuna added can be brought into Cetus. Just a lot of, it's really impressive the way they've expanded some of the core elements of that game, and like the ways, change some of the verbs that you use to interact with the spaces in it. It's really neat. It makes me definitely want to play more of it. I think I'm going to try to get through Anthem first, but I do want to dive into more of it because it's really, really, really impressive. And every time I get in, it seems like they've relaxed as they kind of expand the amount of weapons and frames available. They kind of relax the difficulty in terms of getting them by introducing new ways for you to get the components. So it seems like it gets less and less grindy as there's a wider range of stuff to do, because it still behooves you, if you want to like get everything fast, to put some money into it, but it's not as painful if you're like just wanting to get one frame or whatever. But I don't know. I haven't gotten deep enough into really describe that, but I don't know. It's a really cool thing. And anyone who's like even more disappointed in Anthem than I am, I think that's a game that is worth looking at if the idea of Anthem is appealing to you, but it's not quite there.
That's interesting. Yeah, I touched Warframe for a number of days and hours, like a week, probably pretty consistently playing last year, and like the movement is really interesting. Like the way you just like fly around that world. Like not actually flying like an Anthem, but like there is no friction. You can just like bounce.
Yeah, and I think that's the struggle. That's a good way of putting it, is there really isn't any friction. It's not even Titanfall. Like you have all the same movement options in Warframe that you have in Titanfall, but in Titanfall you still feel, in Apex too, but Titanfall has the wall running and double jump. Titanfall, you still feel though like your feet are hitting the wall. Yeah. You know, and like you can't, whereas Warframe, it's just like you're basically like a greased robot that can slide around any surface with no friction.
Yeah, baby. That's you're turning me on.
But what that means is that the shooting in that game is actually very fun, because while there's not as much feedback as you get from like a Destiny at all, zipping around the environment like that and then lining up your shots is pretty cool. And the guns do feel notably different. Like I've been using, in the time I played around with a shotgun, a pistol, a assault rifle, and a bow and arrow. And all of them were a very, very different experience to play with. You can also just draw your sword and like do combos and stuff and do melee stuff, which is cool too.
Yeah, that's like, I really enjoyed my time with Warframe. I think what got to me was just the grind of like researching stuff, and like I got to a point where I couldn't advance because I didn't have the materials I needed to like unlock the next thing, and it was taking me just long enough to like get that next set of materials to get to like the next planet or whatever, or the next like solar system, that I was just like, I don't have it in me anymore.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to get between planets now too. That's worth noting.
Okay. But yeah, I don't know if it's like much different than what it was when I last played it, because like I said, I didn't play it that long ago. But yeah, so like that was just kind of where I fell. I was like, oh yeah, no, this is cool. And it's just enough of a grind for me that like the free. I don't know if it's because it's like free to play or whatever, but like also it doesn't feel like gross free to play. Like you can pay to get like new Warframes and stuff, but you can get most of that for free.
Yeah,
except like the Prime version.
No, so you can get the Prime ones for free now too.
Okay.
You can get all of the versions for free. That's one thing I'm not clear on, is why you would ever seek to craft the non-Prime versions. I don't know if it's that they're easier to get the components for.
I think that's it. And like
what I'll say is I had a objective. One thing that I was reading that a friend of mine backed up is that a good thing to do early on, if you don't really know what you want to do, is to just try to clear every node on the solar system map. It takes a while. Like it takes like as much time as it would to play through Anthem or whatever, but it's not like hundreds of hours, because you do eventually hit a point where you've played every level, even though there's probably 100 levels. They each take like, 15 minutes depending. So it's a good early goal to do all the levels. Mm-hmm. And then from there you can kind of set your sights on crafting different weapons and different frames and stuff like that. So anyway, I had an objective to open a relic chest, which was a thing that I apparently had a bunch of from the last time I played. And then I had to like wiki how to open it. And to do that, you have to go to a rift mission, which there's always like 2 or 3 of them.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you go in with a team, and basically you like do sort of a like push your luck thing where it gets progressively harder and you can tap out. But every time you complete the objective, you get to open a chest. Anyway, the chests that I was opening, like, they were all dropping Prime Warframe parts and Prime weapon parts. And it wasn't like blueprints. It was like, I went to my crafting table afterwards and it was like, oh, no, all you need now is the helmet and you can craft this Prime frame after doing a mission for like an hour. Mm-hmm. So I think they made
you had all those chests already.
Right. But they dropped 2 or 3 in the missions on the planet that I was on. So it was surprisingly fast and furious with the parts. Now I don't know where. There's got to be a point where it's got to slow down, right? Because it can't be that.
Well, I think you're probably getting like older frames.
It's possible,
and not like the newer stuff. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at, though, is because there's such a wide range of stuff now. I think a lot of that earlier stuff is pretty easy to acquire, and it seems like I guess it always seems like a good time to jump into that game. The thing that's daunting about it is just that with the degree of stuff in it, they don't tutorialize it super well. But the way that I was approaching it in the few hours that I played this week, and it worked really well, I tried to see a bunch of different stuff. And anytime I was trying to do something and it didn't make sense, I just Googled it. And then there was a wiki result very quickly to say, like, here's how this works. Here's how you get a hoverboard. Here's how you do this. So it seems not that hard to get caught up on the theory of like how to do stuff. And yeah, I don't know. It's a fun game and it's super free and it is super not oppressive with its free to play stuff at all. I think the big thing that you can run out of slots. So there's like a certain amount, you can craft the frames for free, but if you want to have more than like 5 or 6 of them, you have to start getting slots. But the slots are like $1 a piece, I think, or something like that. So they're very, very, very reasonable.
It's annoying.
It is, but they got to make money somehow. I mean, that's the one game that company makes. So
they've got plenty of other like microtransactions and stuff. That always just bugs me is when.
Yeah, but what are you going to pay for if you can unlock it all? Like if you can unlock everything for free, there's got to be a point where they force you to.
They've got cosmetic. I mean, there are people who are going to pay for that stuff. They don't want to wait. They just want to I just want to pay for this Warframe, like pay the $20 or whatever for like the new Warframe when it comes out.
I guess I've just never believed that enough of those people exist to sustain. Like,
I mean, there was that guy where they put in like a few. I don't know if you watched the Danny or the.
I did. Yeah, it was a while ago. So
there was the guy who like they put in some sort of like loot box thing or like a roulette thing, and a guy like spent too much money on it. Like they had the stats on it. Like we can't keep this in the game because like this one person basically spent like $1,000 on it. Like immediately.
Yeah. I think. Yeah. I mean, they spent $1,000 on it immediately, but. one that's, I don't know how many people work there, but they have like a nice, looks like around 200.
But I mean, like, you know, that's one person, but you know, like Warframe's a pretty popular game. It's just not super, like, not everyone's talking about it all the time. Like, you know.
Yeah. I think too that the reason the slots thing has never really bothered me with that game in particular is because you can also always like break your frames down too. Like I don't know, it limits the amount of things you can have at once, but if you're someone who's playing it enough that you want to have the option to choose between 10 different Warframes, it seems like $5 to be able to get there is not that big of a deal. But either way, I think the nice thing is that you can very easily tell what, if you want, you can play that game for probably 50, 60, 70 hours before you hit any kind of speed bump where you would want to put money into it. So, it seems cool, and I want to check out more of it. I want to see that Fortuna stuff because the story there actually seems pretty neat as well.
Sure.
But
all right. Do you want to also mention Daemon X Machina?
Yeah, especially if Allison,
the PS2 game.
Yeah, I haven't played a ton of it, but I've played a little bit.
Yeah, I played through everything in that demo. There's not. It seems like there's a ton there, and there actually is a lot compared to most demos, but you can get through it. I think I played it for like 2.5 hours maybe.
Okay, that's actually less than I thought, because I thought like it felt like there was a lot.
Yeah, it feels like you're going to keep going, but after you do, there's like 3 missions. There's the training mission, 3 other missions, and then 1 big boss fight that you can do.
Okay, so I was probably I think I did 2 of the main missions. Yeah,
so you're pretty close to the end of the demo. I believe you can keep replaying the missions though, which is kind of neat. That game seems really cool. I'm very into it.
It's nifty. It feels pretty good to play. I kind of dig the aesthetic.
Yeah, me too.
And it was fun to like get into the level of customization that they still put in the demo, which was kind of fun.
Yep.
Like, whoa, I'm actually like customizing everything in here, but
it's super like a just barely simplified version of Armored Core for sure. Like you're picking the head parts, the torso parts, the leg parts, and the arm parts. You're picking the core, and then you're picking 2 weapons, and then a shoulder weapon, and then you have pylons that you can have weapons you can swap to in them. And so Armored Core is a little wilder because there's like more subsystems, but at the same time, I think there's deeper subsystems in Daemon X Machina 2 that don't show up in the demo, because I believe there's a layer of customization that you don't ever get any other options for.
Right. I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's like you can go into this lab and surgically alter your pilot, and they make it seem like there are downsides to that. It wasn't clear to me what it does, and I didn't mess with it at all, but it's like a skill tree, and you're paying money and then getting the surgery. And I don't know if there's like going to be like humanity points or something like in Shadowrun in the final game, but they made it seem like the descriptions are pretty gruesome. It's like your like leg bones are removed and aluminum plates are put in place or whatever. Like it's like not.
Fuck it. Let's go.
Yeah, and there's like this implication that like doing so makes you into less of a human and more of a machine to take these implants. But I don't know. That stuff seems wild too.
Whatever.
Hell yeah.
And the story is really interesting. Like there was this it's sort of the standard AI rising up thing, but the thing that caused it was the moon fell from the sky and crashed into the earth, which is pretty rad. And then there's a lot of pretty good like anime banter between the pilots and stuff. It has personality.
It is. Yeah. It is definitely anime.
They start arguing about like what a library is, because half of them don't know what a library is. And then they're acting like they can't tell if this library that you're supposed to defend is an actual library or if it's just like a database, a building with a database in it. It's funny. There's some intrigue too of like betrayal and stuff. But at the end of the day, it plays like, I would say it plays similar to Armored Core, but it's not as clunky. It's still kind of clunky, but in a way that to me makes it just feel like you're in a big robot. It's not like clunky, like poorly designed or anything. And I really like it has kind of like an auto targeting system. So you can do cool shit where you like slide around corners and have like 2 big robot shotguns, and you're just like blasting away while you're circle strafing around things and stuff. That stuff is pretty neat. The boss fight is cool too. You have to hit like spots, these canisters that like pop out of the different parts of its body. You have to shoot and destroy those because those are like the weak points. If every boss is like that, they better have really, really unique patterns and like attack patterns and stuff, because I could see that getting old kind of fast. Because that one boss fight takes like 40 minutes. It's like the longest thing in the demo.
Oh my god,
it's brutal. It's very hard too. I almost failed it a couple times. But I don't know. I thought it was fun. It's a cool. It plays really well, and for a genre that like, there's been a lot of good mech games, but there haven't been a lot of good Armored Core-y kind of anime mech games recently. So it's a very pure experience for that, I think.
Yeah. I don't know if it's something that I'm necessarily going to buy at launch, but it was definitely fun and something I'll look into. Yeah,
I'll probably pick it up day one. I think I'm pretty sold on it myself, but I have historically been a big Armored Core fan, and I think it's sad that there hasn't been more. To be honest, when I played it, I was like, oh, I hope Pat plays this demo. Yeah, no, I think it's great. So I think it's very much a Pat game. Yeah. It'll probably be polarizing when it comes out, though. I think you're going to see a lot of 6.5s based on what I played in the demo.
It depends on who reviews it. Like I saw, like Heather Alexandra over at Kotaku was saying, like, basically what I was, addressing basically my criticism was like, oh, it looks like a clunky PS2 game, which it sounds basically exactly like what I thought it was. Whether it's like better than a PS2 game or whatever, but the game is like, if it's got like that Armored Core lineage going for it, it's basically exactly what I thought it was. And the way you've described it. And then, but Heather Alexander's like, don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that you could make the argument that a lot of games feel like PS2 games. That argument just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, because like I fondly remember playing lots of PS2 games. So
I fondly remember playing lots of PS2 games too, but also I think there are things about them that, like, there's a stiffness or like a weirdness to the movement. Like, yeah, I guess I just wouldn't ascribe that to the PS2 in particular. I don't know. Certain games, like it reminds me of, like, I don't know, like those Gundam games or like the Armored Core games.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, like,
I think Gundam part of that's like the aesthetic as well, just because it's on the Switch, so it's not looking like super high fidelity or anything.
Yeah, for sure. Gundam Versus feels like it could have easily been made on the PS2 as well. Like, I think in general, I wouldn't want to put words into Heather Alexander's mouth, but I think if you don't like the way Daemon X Machina feels, you probably don't like anime mech games.
Yeah, no, but that is basically what Heather, like, if you grow up on those types of games, like I didn't grow up on those types of games. And so I think a lot of those games came out on PS2, but I think it's more about that genre than it is about the platform, I guess. Because I think it feels very similar to like Armored Core on the Xbox 360 too. It's just that's how those games tend to feel, like Gundam and Armored Core sort of games, as opposed to the more simmy like Mech Warrior stuff.
Xbox 362, is that the next Xbox?
Yes.
Oh God!
It's Xbox 365 because you use it every day. Microsoft pay me.
I would actually not disbelieve that.
Like, they already have Office 365.
Yeah, Microsoft. Fuck, I didn't even think about that. Microsoft 365. You heard it here first. Xbox 365. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay, we figured it out.
Yeah, David.
I gotta send an email to Phil Spencer right now.
Although this is only the fourth iteration of the Xbox, so I think we need to wait. Xbox 360, Xbox One, unless we consider Xbox One X like its own thing.
Xbox but even 420.
That's like, it has to be the Xbox 420.
Yeah.
It won't be the Xbox 420.
The Xbox 69. The
there we go. We got it.
No, that's the
Xbox 420, Xbox 365, Xbox 69.
The Xbox
X69 box 420X.
No, the Xbox 69 is the one that just streams stuff, and it'll stream anything.
Oh, okay.
Anywhere.
Anything.
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 I'm saying it'll stream porn. That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ew.
Oh.
Ew. Pat, what the this is a family show.
You brought it up.
Did we?
I didn't bring up porn.
You brought
God.
up the Xbox 69.
No,
Yeah, because it's a nice number.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Like, the 6 and the 9 look good together. Jeez, Pat.
Wow.
Pat.
Well, on that horrible, vulgar display, who wants to go next?
I think Andre does.
I can talk about more games. I played other stuff too. I played Underworld Ascendants. That game seems rough.
I played the opening mission of BattleTech, and I'm not going to talk about BattleTech really, but I just want to say that game seems neat, and I want to get more to it, and maybe I'll buy it. It's on sale for like $23, but
that's a good price for that game.
Yeah. Anyway, so other stuff I've been playing. I finished the main story progression of Anthem. I saw credits on Anthem. Then it was like, hey, there's more stuff to do. And I was like, fuck.
There's not really though.
There is. There's like more story stuff. Like, and they're like hinting. I guess I don't know exactly what it's hinting at, but there's more like narrative that they bring up.
So you didn't really finish Anthem.
I got credits.
That sounds like they lied. It's interesting that they lie about their launch day and then also lie about the ending of the video game.
I mean, it's a service game, so like, you know, Destiny does it too. The real Anthem starts here, I guess. I don't know.
So I've heard the end game content's real bad in that game.
It might be if it's just what was in the game before. But I mean, I think every loot game kind of suffers from that. Like Destiny has like the raids, but most people don't do those. Like I've done one raid, or I did most of Vault of Glass, but then my team couldn't like get it together for the final boss. And then I did the Destiny 2 raid, whatever it's called, with the callus, the armor.
I don't know.
I don't even know.
I can't help you.
I
played like 50 hours of Destiny 2, and I can't tell you what the name of that raid is.
If only anyone who co-hosted this podcast enjoyed Destiny 2.
I'm sure it's called the something of something. It'll be like the Bridge of Dust or something like that.
So, but I have enjoyed my time with Anthem. Like I think the flying is really good. I enjoy the combat. Like I know that there are like a lot of valid criticisms about the weapons and stuff. Like the shooting doesn't feel as like good or like responsive as something like Destiny, where it feels really good to get headshots and stuff in those games. Like the feedback loop is really nice.
The feedback thing in Anthem is my issue with the shooting.
Yeah, like I don't know if part of that's because like enemies don't really respond to getting shot.
Yeah, it's also like the guns feel like you push a button and then a line comes out of them. Mm-hmm. Like it doesn't feel like they're firing.
Well, if you get the gun that I have, so I got 2 masterwork guns, which are like their exotic equivalents, but you can equip more than one. So point Anthem. I've got one that I think it's like 33% of the time it'll strike your enemy with lightning.
That's cool.
Yeah, and like also it's way stronger than any other. It's got like 38 power, and most weapons I'm getting right now are like 27. Mm-hmm. So it's like real good. And then I've also got a shotgun where when you reload it, it gets 100% damage boost for like 15 seconds. Wow! And then it can stack twice.
That's cool.
So it goes from I'll do like 98 damage, I'll do 200 damage, and I'll do like 500 damage because like of the way it stacks.
That's interesting. There's like no enemies well, it's not true.
Also, it's like 500 damage per pellet. So it's doing like insane amounts of damage.
So do you eventually start dealing with enemies more frequently that don't die in one shot?
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, like at the point I'm at in the game, playing on hard on map making, like enemies don't die super quick. Yeah.
Everything on normal except for like the shielded enemies and the enemies with shields dies in one shotgun blast.
Yeah. And then like the gun that shoots lightning is really good against those shielded enemies because lightning does like extra damage against the shields. So like I can like instead of having just like unload on them with the gun to try and get their shield down. I can just like shoot them like 4 times and their shield's gone.
You know what would be really cool is if I could learn things like lightning damage does extra damage to enemies with shields somewhere other than like on this podcast.
Yeah, I discovered that by accident, and like I only learned that by playing like on hard really, and like I mainly play the Storm because I enjoy the Storm. So like I ended up just like noticing that, because it seems like the best combo is like frost shards and lightning. Maybe there's a better combo, but like, and maybe it depends on like the enemies you're facing. So like if I know I'm going in to like fight Scar, or if I know I'm going in to fight like the Scorpions or something, it makes more sense to take fire. Actually, the Colossus, on the Tyrant Mine, there's a spot where a bunch of like Scorpions come out of like the wall and in the final boss area. And if you're at the Colossus, he has like a mortar that like lays down a line of fire. And like if you just put that in front of where they're spawning, I was able to just kill all the Scorpions before they could even like get out of their spawn, basically. And then just run over, pick up all the ammo, and then fight the boss. So that was really neat to like figure out that kind of like puzzle stuff. And like the abilities are up often enough that it doesn't, like in Destiny, it's like, oh, do I want to use it now? I don't know.
Yeah, Destiny is a shooter for sure.
Yeah. But like the cooldown on like the abilities, like the grenades is like a little bit long. But like the cooldowns are quick enough in Anthem where I don't mind like, oh, I used that. Oh, I screwed up. Oh, well, I can use it again in like 5 seconds. Yeah. And then I think the volume of writing just like keeps increasing as you get further into that game. They're like new characters are showing up, and they've got like some of the characters like they're only like basically their only stories are conversations and like dialogue choices. I don't think their like binary choice system is like super great. I don't know why they went with that choice.
From what I've heard, they don't. All it affects is the first line of dialogue the person responds with anyway. Like
it'll end conversations pretty quick, depending on.
Yeah, in some cases it'll end the conversation faster. I don't, but from what I understand, there's no real choices that you make. Like it ultimately, like that one guy.
I don't know if that's true.
Well, I would be interested.
But I mean, without having
routes you can go on then.
But yeah, like I mean, obviously I haven't done like the other conversations. But like there are points where I could have made like a very different choice in the conversation, and I don't know what that would have done to like that storyline or whatever.
Yeah, so like I just hit one of those. I thought it was a thing with Wraith, where she's like, "Will you come help me serve her these?" They want her javelin or whatever, and it's like, will you come help me? I was like, yeah, sure. And the other option is don't drag me into this or something. From what I understand, if you say don't drag me into this, she goes, oh, come on, you wouldn't do that to me, blah, 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 blah. And your character goes, yeah, you're right. Okay. And it doesn't actually change it. That's what I've heard from people playing on other platforms. But there may be more stuff that's more important to the narrative that it does change. And then there's that guy that sucks, that's like always trying to like snitch on everybody, every single story character you meet. Every time I run into him, I'm just like, fuck off, I don't care.
And he tells you anyway.
No, he doesn't tell you anyway. He does just shut up and go, well, I guess I thought you would want to know. And then he walks away.
I always listen to what he has to say, just because I'm like, what stupid bullshit are you going to tell me now? and I'm always like, no, I don't want you to go with me. I don't want to go with you anywhere. Leave me alone.
Yeah. So I don't know. It could just be different things. I don't know. It's
So there's you've met Sentinel Brand. There's a point where Commander Fool comes up like while you're talking to her, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And you can be like, oh, we're friends, or we're working together. And I chose we're friends because I'm like, well, I'm not gonna
right
like that. And I don't know what would have happened if I just told Fool like, oh no, we're friends.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Or we're working together, because like she's not supposed to be working with non-Sentinel people. So if you get to that point, let me know.
Yeah, I'll probably do the thing that you did, because I also the other thing though is that there are specific characters that are incredibly like I think I kind of hate, like Lucky Jack, for example. I do not like that guy. I don't really like the merchants that much. Even though Kristen Shaw is great, I don't really like the character that she plays.
Have you gone into like any of her like story stuff?
She talked about she like dreams of petting a baby Koroks, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no.
Has it been confirmed that that's Kristen Shaw?
Yes, it has.
Okay.
Okay, this has suddenly made me really want to play the game a lot more.
Jack McBrayer is a character.
What?
If you want to, yeah, but
Like how many people are dead?
I don't want to oversell it. It's not like Mass Effect where you're like uncovering deep things about. You talk to them for like a minute in between missions.
That's true. This is less. I'm going to buy it now, and more. I'm going to buy it when it's inevitably like under $20.
If it's still running when it's under $20.
Oh God, that's true.
Yeah, people have been really, really down on Anthem.
The critics have been really down on it. I've seen, like, I would be super positive on this game if I hadn't had like technical issues. Like the patch actually, like the day one patch actually made the game worse for me. Like I've encountered more crashing, disconnects.
I still haven't had this issue yet. I did have like a weird bug where it wouldn't let me launch a mission, but all I had to do was exit the menu and go back.
I got stuck in a mission. Like luckily I had other people who could do it, but I couldn't do like the interact like function. I couldn't pick up like relics to like take into a place. I couldn't pick up teammates when they got downed. I couldn't interact with anything in the environment. So I had to like quit the game after that mission and then reload. It was really annoying.
I think ultimately, like all of my issues with that game are structural. I was saying in our group chat earlier today, because I played for a few hours today, and granted, I hadn't put a ton of time into it before that, but like I played it a fair bit last weekend and early in this past week, and then and was kind of like, it's okay. And then over the course of the week, didn't play it that much. I jumped on and did like a mission here or there. And over the course of the week, I was like, I think this game might just be terrible. But then playing it this morning, I had a lot of fun playing it, and like it was very entertaining. And I think really what it is just I think it sucks that you can't just edit your loadout by pressing a hotkey on the board. Yeah. I think it sucks that there's all these vendor and loot systems in the game that don't matter at all. Like none of that stuff is meaningful. Eventually you start getting the masterwork guns, and that's cool because those sound like they have really neat stuff on them. But the guns I'm getting now, it's just like, well, I guess I should equip this one because it has a bigger number on it. Yep. But it sucks.
I don't know. To me, that's every loot game. I have to look at it and go, well, I don't really like using hand cannons. I prefer, and I don't like really like assault rifles or whatever. So I prefer like, I play in Destiny, like, I want like, I don't even know what they're called anymore. Like, I want a marksman rifle or whatever instead of like a full auto or whatever. So like, that's the only decision I'm making basically at that point. It's like the number's higher, but I don't like these kinds of guns.
And I would say I would level the same criticism at Destiny for sure. I will say Destiny, I feel like you were getting exotics a lot. I feel like after having been playing Destiny for about 8 to 10 hours, I had at least an exotic or two.
Destiny 2, definitely. But then like it gets outclassed, and then they're like, okay, well, it's got a smaller number, but it's got the ability.
But they last a while, and then you can get more, I guess. That's the thing. Like I feel like in Anthem, I have not gotten a single piece of interesting gear in the 10 hours I've played.
The abilities are interesting, and you've got like, you've got the abilities, and you could argue that those are interesting, but like the guns and stuff, definitely.
I think if they made it easier to and more clear about how you get blueprints for things so that I could actually
you gotta level up faction rep, and apparently it's according to Jeff Gerstmann, you have to get to level 3 with the Sentinels to actually get like anything worthwhile. I got to level 2 with like freelancers, and it's like, you clean the fountain. What the fuck?
Yeah. Because like
why do I care about a clean fountain?
I unlocked the Colossus, and I like the Colossus a lot. Actually, it's cool. It's hard to play. It's harder to play solo than the Interceptor, but it's a cool class. But I'm playing solo in the story missions because I can't deal with the narrative implications of there being other people there, because there's nothing at all in the story that would suggest that any other freelancers exist other than the NPC you talk to and you.
100% true.
And so I have a hard time with that. So I want to switch out the support ability on the Colossus because the default one is a taunt, which is cool that that's in there for group stuff, but I want to play with something else. But like, I have no idea how to get another support ability.
You just have to get lucky on the loot.
Yeah, so that's a little frustrating. I think if you could do more of that, then it would be a little bit better. in terms of that. But the game, the physical act of playing the game is very fun. My heart sinks when I come back from a mission and I pull up the Fort Tarsus map and I see like, I guess I'm going to walk around and talk to people for the next 45 minutes because then that's exaggeration. But because like there's all of these conversation speech bubble icons now all over the map and you move very slow. And it's like the pace of the conversations also feels very slow. I don't know what it is about the writing. It's not that it's bad. It's just that it feels like there's a lot of like, have I ever told you about that one time when I was a child starving on the streets of whatever Freehold? And you're like, well, that's how all your stories start. So maybe, but probably not, because this is a unique dialogue. And then they spend all this time like, well, as I've told you before, I blah, 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 blah. And then it's like 30 seconds later, you finally get the thing you want to hear. And again, it's all like performed very well and written in a way that doesn't seem like stilted or bad, but the conversation stuff, it takes so long to get through. And that's coming from someone who genuinely really likes dialogue and narrative. So I'm not just saying like, give me more action faster. And it all kind of feels inconsequential anyway, because I'm never going to see anything other than what's right outside the gate anyway. So that, I think it's all structural stuff. The actual, when you're in the level playing, and then even the narrative stuff, the way it's written and performed, I think is good. So I'm going to see it through to the end. And I'm interested in doing some strongholds with groups, because I think that the dynamic between the way that the different javelins interact is pretty cool.
I think one of the strongholds is just the last mission again.
That's what I've heard.
Which is like, okay. And I mean, I don't know.
This stuff for me, I should probably complain a little less loud about how thin the content is, because I'm someone who likes to play a lot of different games. So it's actually a pretty decent amount for me, because I'll play through the story, do each stronghold once, and then be done with it, and it's fine. But for people who are expecting this game to be like one you could play for hundreds of hours, holy shit,
they've got a roadmap, a content roadmap.
I guess I have no faith in their ability to like deliver more content with their roadmap than they did after developing the game for 4 years or whatever. Like,
because they're a thing, like the amount of weapons, like it's basically the same same 3 or 4 of each weapon type. And like even the masterwork weapon is like, oh, it's an upgraded version of like this gun. Yeah. So it's not even like a unique weapon. It's just an upgraded version of, they call it an upgraded version of one of like the regular weapons with like, the special ability on it.
I think the world is cool enough and I'm enjoying the story enough, even though I don't think it's great so far. I think it's popcorn fun. I'm enjoying that enough that I would certainly dip in for a few hours every couple months to play some narrative stuff, but I don't think that they're going to add more than that. Like, I think you'll get 3 or 4 missions.
They're hinting, or I don't know if hinting is the right word, but they kind of basically set up for like a new faction of enemies at the end of the game, which is nice. Like Destiny took like a year to get a new faction in there, but like I don't even know if it really matters, because besides the Scorpions, like the Scars and the Dominion are pretty interchangeable.
Their elite inner enemies are different, but they have like 2 of each.
Yeah. So it'd be nice to see them have a bit more variety, but I think like I enjoy this game, but it is definitely not without its criticisms, and I hope they get it together, because I think it's neat.
And there's no way. I have a couple of friends that ended up buying it and are very happy with it and loving it, and that's great. I'm glad people are enjoying it, but there's no way in hell that I would say to someone, you should spend $60 on this video game. That's like, I would say it's a $30 or $40 video game at most.
In a year, I hope it's very good.
Yeah, same. I just hope they get that long. Like, I hope it's weird. Like, I am generally someone who is not a content person at all. Like, I would be happy to spend $30 on a game that tells a 4-hour story that's really remarkable and incredibly fun to play. But for some reason, with the kind of game this is and the way they've been selling it, I feel like people shouldn't buy it for the price that it is. And yet also, unless people buy it, I don't know that it'll have the chance to do better. So I don't know what the answer is.
I don't think this first 3 months they put out a roadmap for the next 90 days.
Oh yeah.
This next 3 months is not going to be the stuff that turns the game around.
No.
They haven't had time to get that like public feedback. So like maybe in like 4 or 5 months we'll get some stuff where it's like, okay, they've started to like really address the complaints and get this stuff.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. I don't know.
Turn around immediately.
I don't know what it depends. I mean, BioWare is a relatively large studio, right? And like the only other thing they're presumably working on is, and I guess, there's multiple studios on BioWare, but the only other thing they're working on is whatever the Dragon Age thing is. So you would think they would have the resources to put a lot of time into Anthem post-release content.
Do they still update the Old Republic?
Oh, that's a good point.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess.
It's not a huge thing. Like, did they even talk? I don't think they talk about it at E3 or anything.
They were, but I don't think they did last year.
Like, I know that's BioWare Austin, so it's separate, but yeah.
If I'll say this, if they want to save, if it gets to the point where Anthem needs saving, I'm not even necessarily saying it does now. We don't know yet.
Put in Star Wars.
If a team needs to save, well, I'm saying the Old Republic is a pretty, the way they support that game as a live game is pretty solid. So I can't think of a better team at EA to support a service game than BioWare Austin. So if they're the ones who ultimately get the call to support Anthem long term, that could be very good. But
yeah, maybe.
Either way, like there's some really cool stuff in that world. Like the concept of the world, the gods left, and they have these huge machines that are like terraforming the planet and fucking it up is really cool. And stuff like the Scar are sentient bugs that like take humanoid shape. They like form together into a humanoid shape and like animate these suits and like fight that way, which you wouldn't know really from playing the game. You have to read the codex stuff, but that's cool.
Scars are people too.
They're not. They're literally bugs.
I know. There's a dialogue sequence in that game. There's also they have in like the in-game lore stuff, they've got like radio shows that they listen to that are about like ciphers and like freelancers, and everyone has like their favorite show and they'll reference the show and talk about them.
That stuff.
You will eventually. It comes up.
Realize now that you get messages too.
Oh right, I keep forgetting about those.
Completely forgot that those happen. So I probably got a bunch of those to read through too.
Yeah. Anyway, that is Anthem, and I hope they make it better because video games should be good. I've got one more game to talk about, but does anyone else want to talk about anything before that?
No, get it out of the way.
Okay. I've been playing more Resident Evil 2. I finished Leon B. I think I said that was like really messing me up last time. I was just in a real bad spot. Leon's campaign much harder than Claire's campaign. Because Leon only has a shotgun, whereas Claire gets a grenade launcher.
Is that because of the order you played them in, or is that?
No, that is just basically. So my biggest complaint about this game, well, there's Mr. X, who like after like you figure out like what to like how to actually like maneuver around him, he's not really.
After you mod him into a thong.
After you put him into a thong and replaces spooky music with DMX, he's no longer an issue. It's just a party. Like the A playthrough or the A and B playthroughs are not really different. Like there's some item placement that's maybe a little bit different, and like puzzle solutions are different, but like you're solving pretty much the same puzzles. And it doesn't make any sense because it's supposed to be happening at the same time / after the other person was doing stuff. So I don't know. Like I wish they were more different. Instead of just like, here's a slightly remixed like opening 15 minutes and then everything else is the same. Like even cutscenes and like the story progression are the same. So that's disappointing, but it's like slightly more difficult. So yeah, now I finished Leon B, then I did Leon A, and then now I'm doing Claire B, but I'm trying to do an S plus rank run on it, which means you have to beat the game in under 3.5 hours. On B rank, it has to be under 3 hours, and you can only save 3 times. And so
that reminds me of Dead Space 2.
I mean, they have similar lineage, or similar kinds of games.
Yeah.
And so, like I've been watching some speedruns, and like the techniques, like on PC, there's like some shenanigans you can do with a knife, which the damage is tied to frame rate. So when you can run the game at like 120 frames per second, the knife is like the strongest weapon in the game by far, because it does like way more damage than anything else per second.
That's amazing.
But on PS4, that is not an option. So you have to spend a lot more ammo, and so there's like different techniques and stuff for getting through, and like a lot of it's just memorizing where to go, and like having good pathing and not getting eaten by lickers or getting trapped in a doorway with a licker behind you and a zombie on the ground in front of you and then dying, which is what happened to me.
Sounds like you just need to get better at the game.
I was running from Mr. X, and I was like, well, I need to go into this room because I got the weapon locker key card, and the weapon locker's in here. And then there was a zombie on the floor crawling at the door while it was closed. I'm like, why are you doing this?
It also seems like zombies in that game take like a zillion shots.
It's random.
Oh, is it?
So yeah, and it's annoying because like you shoot a zombie at the head a couple times and they don't die. And like they're pretty hard, at least when you start the game, they're pretty hard to get like headshots on. So like the strategy is like shoot them in the leg and then shoot off their arms so they can't like grab you, and they can only like crawl at you. They can't do anything, or they can like wiggle.
I'll say as someone who is more interested in that game as something that is scary rather than something that is to be mastered, the randomness is appealing to me because it sounds cool to like not know how much it's going to take to put them down. But I can see if you're trying to like achieve some form of mastery over it, it can be a pain.
I mean, like, there are things like, you can stagger the zombies, but it might take like 2 shots to stagger the zombie or whatever, or, you shoot them in the leg and then they stumble and you can run past them. So yeah, like learning how to like make use of the speedrunning stuff and like really advance on that is interesting. It's like a totally different way to play the game. So yeah, I want to work on that more. There's like a bunch of challenges. There's like little Mr. Raccoon like bobblehead things around, and if you shoot all 15 of them, you get an infinite knife. And for beating the game at under 3.5 hours, I got an infinite handgun, but I can't use that to get like the S plus rank. It doesn't let you get S plus if you use the infinite hand. If you get S plus, you get an infinite minigun with Claire. If you get it with Leon, you get an infinite rocket launcher.
Yeah, that sounds like it took a lot from Dead Space then, which is good.
I mean, that stuff was in Resident Evil 4 too, and like in the other Resident Evil games.
Yeah,
it's been like it's classic Resident Evil stuff. You get like the good rank, and you get all these like special weapons. So Dead Space took it from Resident Evil.
Damn.
Yeah, got him. But yeah, I mean, they're not dissimilar games. I should play Dead Space. I've got it. Maybe I've only got Dead Space 2. I don't know. I played a bunch of Dead Space 2, and then I think my PlayStation broke, and I couldn't transfer my save. So then I never went back.
Dead Space 2 is the best.
I think I've got Dead Space 1 on Steam. Maybe I'll install that. I'm going to be without internet for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. So, but I've also got Assassin's Creed Odyssey now. We'll see.
That'll take you forever.
Yep. But I don't have any room on my SD card or my SSD. Anyway, yeah. So that's what I've been playing. I want to get back to. There's so many games that I want to play, and I've got so little money. But even like the games, I don't know, man. Games are hard to play. It's too many.
Yep. I feel it.
I feel it big time. I still got to finish The Witcher 3.
Yeah. And then you got to start Kingdom Hearts.
Yep. I'm going to play those. Still maintain that.
For some reason.
So who wants to go next?
What do you want to do, Allison? You want to Rochambeau this? Just do some rock, paper, scissors?
Well, I don't have a lot to talk about, so I can go really quickly.
Sure.
since I know that I think you have more to talk about. So I've had a very, very busy week, so I didn't really have a lot of time to actually play games, but I've been playing a decent amount of Tetris 99, which has been a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. It's been, I don't know how much more I can say about it other than it's Tetris and has the bit of the battle royale mechanics to it, but I think it's just really fun, and it's been something that's easy to just, I'm going to play a couple of games and go do something else. So it's I've been really into that.
Also, should be noted,
and I've also
three-time winner,
yeah.
Allison.
I wasn't going to brag, but
Allison
yes,
has slayed 98 other people
3 times.
This is a murderer.
3 times. You have more wins in Tetris 99 than I have in Apex Legends.
Cold-blooded. Same for me.
Yeah. I've been.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think the competition is getting harder. So I think that the competition's getting a little bit harder. So I was glad that I won that last time.
Get while the getting's good.
Still got it.
I found. I started playing that game finally, and at first I was like, "This controls like ass," and then once I realized that playing with a pro controller is just not going to happen.
Oh, man, the pro controller is so bad. Do we want to talk about the pro controller for 2 hours?
It's great, except the D-pad sucks.
The D-pad is garbage.
Yeah, the D-pad
every Switch controller is bad.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I like the pro controller a lot, but I played some of it with the pro controller today, and I was not doing.
I just wish that I could somehow flip it to be like the D-pad controls where the like the 4 options, and then the left analog stick controls the block. I understand that most people would shudder at the idea of playing Tetris that way, but I would like that more than playing with that garbage D-pad. And I don't really love it.
Remap the controls.
Yeah, I guess you can remap the controls at the system level, right?
Yeah.
You can't. I checked the controls.
Yeah, I mean, but if you could.
No, I checked it. You can switch it. You can switch which stick does what, but you can't swap the D-pad.
There is a fix for the D-pad. It involves opening up the controller, taking it apart, and putting a piece of tape under it.
I'm not doing that.
It works though.
But playing with the Joy-Cons is a little bit better. Playing in handheld mode is, I think, the way to play that game. And it really just made me wish that there was a good Tetris game on Switch that I didn't have to play against 99 other people or 98 other people, because I am not that good at Tetris. So when I load into Tetris 99, I just get completely annihilated. It's like 8 people attack me, and then I get like half a screen of garbage within about 10 seconds, and then I lose. That happened like 4 games in a row, and then I had one where I got to like 38th.
Maybe you shouldn't attack people.
Well, I don't understand.
Yeah. No,
I don't understand.
Sure.
It doesn't tell you. Like, I don't get it. Like, I started off and I set it to random, and then I get attacked by like a load of people, and then I set it to attackers because, like, if I'm getting attacked by 25 people, I think I should probably shoot back at them. Yeah, like strategy. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of unexplained stuff in there. Like, they don't explain what badges are.
So why do you think it's Tetris 99 and not Tetris 100? Is it like
that sounds better?
Is it aesthetic reasons? So you can have 49. You can have the big one in the middle and 49 other boards on either side.
Yeah, probably.
I think that's actually it.
Yeah,
makes sense to me. I'm also very excited that they're working on their battle royale technology, because it'll just come to Splatoon eventually, and that'll be great.
Oh my god.
It's going to come to ARMS. It's going to come to ARMS first.
They should put it in Splatoon, and they should make it not a game where you like loot. It should just be you bring in your Splatoon loadout, and then you just play a death match against 99, 98 of them. That would
be the way that Splatoon does it.
They should do it with Animal Crossing.
And you have to talk to everybody else before anybody else does?
You have to collect all the fruit.
You have to make your home the most beautiful.
You have to stack 99 fruits.
Yeah.
You have to become a slumlord. You have to take out Tom Nook, and then
Wait a minute.
Control. You got to
play that actually.
They should make an Animal Crossing MMO. They should make an Animal Crossing MMO where you can't type anything, You can set your conversation messages, and then when you talk to other players, you're just choosing from your menu options back and forth.
Oh man.
And then you can be the slumlord. You can be Tom Nook.
Remember Mitomo? Boy, Mitomo was bad.
That's the code in the box. You can be the slumlord.
Great for grandma. What's the other game, Alice? Before we go down this whole tour.
I've also been playing the Trials Rising open beta, and I've also been playing that on Switch. And it's definitely not the ideal version of Trials, but it's good so far.
Being Trials Rising or being on the Switch?
Being on the Switch. Right. Mostly because I didn't even find this out in game, but apparently since the Switch doesn't have analog triggers at all, it basically, the way that you control your acceleration is apparently using the right stick. Whoa. But I did not know that until I looked it up.
Really?
That's how it works.
Wait, what?
That sucks.
It does suck. But
I mean, it's analog at least.
Yeah.
If you play it docked in with a GameCube controller, it does actually have support for it. So I think that if somebody comes out with Joy-Cons that have the analog sticks, like if Hori Pro does like something like that, that might actually make it a lot more tolerable to play, because it is really nice to play. It still isn't probably the best version of Trials Rising, just because system power wise, Switch is not necessarily on par with the PS4 or Xbox One, but I found it very playable. Some people were not a huge fan of the frame rates, but yeah.
I'm trying to decide if I'm going to play that on Xbox or PC now, because like originally it was like a no-brainer. I would play it on Xbox, but if the PC version is good, that's what I'm going to try the beta in today. The idea of I've been in this place recently where I don't know what it's been about my daily habits or what. I changed my schedule to start getting up earlier recently, but I've been in this spot every night this week at like 10 o'clock where I'm like, well, I want to go to bed in about a half hour. So I have about a half hour. I don't want to play a multiplayer game because I'll get invested and then I'll keep playing. So Apex isn't I'm not going to play just one round of Apex. It's never going to happen. And like, I'm playing these big RPGs otherwise, like The Witcher. I'm not going to get into that for a half an hour. I can't really do everything in Anthem for a mission in a half an hour because the missions are like 20 minutes to half an hour long. And then there's all the dialogue stuff around it. So Trials is like the perfect game for that. And I always find myself wanting to do that on PC when that comes up. So I may play it on PC.
The one argument
it's such a one more game. Like, oh, come on. That didn't count. I screwed up too fast.
Well, right. But you can get
be up at 4 a.m.
one mores in a half an hour, as opposed to like Apex where it's like, I want to do one more and the games are 20 minutes. Yeah. You have a good one.
Yeah.
So I play that for like 4 hours.
The thing I'll say about PC historically with the Trials games, like especially with Last View and Fusion and Evolution and stuff, is that the modding community for that scene is really good, and like the custom maps and everything, and like custom maps are really crazy. Like it almost gets to like Little Big Planet like style things where
Very cool.
It's like almost total modifications, but I don't think those come to the console versions.
Yeah, I've never played a Trials game on PC. I've always played it on a console like PS4 or Xbox. So I wasn't sure if the ports were that great.
Yeah. For a while there was like Trials HD or Trials whatever the 360 one wasn't on
it's still
PC.
Not on PC.
Yeah, like I've got Trials 2 HD or something, Trials 2 second edition. And that's the only Trials game I've got on PC, or maybe I had Fusion on PS4, but yeah,
it's a good series. I'm looking forward to it a lot, but maybe not on Switch.
It's kind of a shame because I wish it feels like a game where if there were just these little tweaks, I would be so happy to play it on Switch. But I think I'm going to have to get it either PS4 or PC. But it's still, you know, like actual gameplay, you know, all these little issues aside, Trials is still really fun. And it is still a really nice game to play. So I've even when it's not ideal, I've been enjoying it a lot.
Yep.
So
it's got dabbing, so I'm in.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's I definitely, if you haven't played a Trials game or it's been a while, I don't remember how much longer the open beta is going on, but I definitely recommend trying it because there's actually a decent amount of content in this beta.
Going until February 25th, 1700 UTC plus 9.
Okay, yeah, so it still has a few more days, and I think it's really fun. So,
but UTC plus 9. I don't know what time zone that is.
I don't know.
Is that mine?
It might be. I think it might be New Zealand or Australia.
Maybe.
It is definitely. Let's see, UTC plus 9.
We could Google this, but
I am doing that right now.
Oh, I was gonna say it's better for us to just kind of like be like, oh, I don't know, maybe it's this. I think I'm UTC minus 9, so shit.
There's a 16-hour difference between us.
Yeah.
It is.
Anyway.
It is Japan. Japan.
Oh, it is. Okay, yeah. So it's
your time zone.
going till sometime late. Okay, now I have to look back at it again. So it's probably till like
late Sunday in the
Sunday,
States, yeah.
Early Saturday or early Monday. Yeah.
But give it a shot, and it has like I said, it has a decent amount of content, so you can really get a feel for if you would like it or not.
Replay it all when the game comes out.
Yep. I since I was in the closed beta earlier, it'll be my third time playing it through.
Yep. That's actually why I haven't been playing this beta, because I already know I'm gonna play it. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other final thoughts, Allison?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Alex,
hey,
bring us home. What do you got?
I got 2 things. The first one is extremely pithy and like only warrants about 2 minutes of conversation.
Okay, well, I'm gonna mark the clock for 10 minutes and let's go.
Here we go. 10 minutes talking about eat.io.
Is that like battle royale, like circle game?
It's not battle royale, but it is.
Okay.
It is a Facebook game. It is a mobile game for Facebook Messenger. And I had no interest in it, but Cheska and like randomly challenged me to it, and I was like, okay, what is this? And like I don't really use Facebook games ever. The last one I touched was maybe Farmville when that existed.
Enlarge your hole.
Pardon?
Oh God!
I was looking at the load screen. I'm looking at the screen.
Is it the circle game then?
It is.
It's hold down. It's hold down.
So it's basically multiplayer Donut County.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Donut County.
Yeah.
Wait.
Okay.
Like it's.
But is it the old one? But they just put it on Facebook Messenger.
Yes, it is whole.io.
Okay.
But switched up to be multiplayer with your Facebook.
Because I love that. Well, maybe I'm still thinking of something different.
But
keep going.
Yeah, it's good. It's fun. You get like a minute and a half to just kind of like go through this city and eat as much crap as you can, and it's got the cool. The multiplayer is not live, I don't think. I'm pretty sure it's asynchronous, where you're basically playing against ghosts. And but like it's super fun. It's a good way to waste like 5 minutes, I guess.
This is not what I thought it was.
It does not have the spirit, the style of Donut County.
No, it does
I
not.
want to make that clear.
There's also a game that people should play that's old as hell. That's like browser based, where you're a circle and you eat balls, and then it makes your circle bigger, and then you eat other people's circles to get even bigger.
You can do that in this as well.
So this is maybe similar to that. I love there's actually like a fair degree of strategy, and like it's an extraordinarily simple game, but it actually has a fair amount of complexity with the way that you choose to move around, because your speed is affected by your size too. It's interesting, and it's a game where like it actually is kind of like a battle royale because you can have up to like 80 people play, and then
isn't there a thing where you can like split your circle in half and then
yeah, there's certain stuff like that. You can like fire your circle or something. Yeah, it's a weird, interesting game, and I can't remember what it's called. They have played it on sites such as Giant Bomb in the past.
Yeah.
And it's a game I remember playing.
It's agar.io.
So I don't know for sure if that is the one I'm thinking of, but yes, that is one of them.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah.
Because I definitely Googled game where you become bigger because I definitely wanted to play it after this.
Game where you become bigger. Yep. But
I know that's probably the shittiest way to Google it, but I was just like, I didn't know how to say it. So
there's the one agar.io has like a bunch of like ads and modes and stuff on it from what I'm looking at, and like you have like a profile that levels up. The one I remember in
the there's someone in the stream game named Andre. Third place.
In the game that I remember playing, it was way simpler than this. There were no advertisements, and it was very much like it's the same premise, but it was very clean, which was appealing. You could upload like a custom image. That was it.
Yeah.
Right. I remember that. Yeah.
Either way,
upload some real stupid stuff.
Yeah. Either way, this is worth trying. If like it'll take you 5 minutes to play 2 rounds, it's fine. I'm not going to say it's fantastic, but it also has that strategy. Like your pathing matters, and then like you might get screwed over by a ghost. You're like, oh, I'm going to eat this row of cars, but all of a sudden this other ghost came in and who's bigger than me, so I can't even challenge him. So,
interesting.
Yeah, it's cool. But the other game I brought, which is going
Still got 5 minutes.
What? Oh God, no! I don't want to talk
Use your
about
time wisely.
I don't want to talk about that thing for 5 minutes. We're gonna be talking about this one for like 4 hours. So strap.
No.
What do you got?
10 months before you get to do that.
Oh boy. So
not this category. It's the next one.
Yep. Oh boy. I brought a visual novel, which actually haven't brought in quite a while. This one is called Heart of the Woods. So, it's a visual novel. It came out earlier this week by a really, really small developer. They're named Studio Elan, I believe, because it looks like a French name. I could be wrong. I honestly hadn't heard about the game before I picked it up. I just happened to run into it when I was looking at what's new on Steam, and just decided to randomly give it a shot. So I went into the game completely blind, and after finishing it, I finished it yesterday. I wanted to look up more information about like the developer and what went into the development and stuff like that. And I was super, super surprised to find out how small the development team was. Like, like it looked like maybe 7 or 8 individual names. And a lot of those were like, oh, I did background art, or I did like some sound design. Like it's very small. But the reason I was surprised is because it feels like crazy polished. Like it feels very, very professional. And I've played a lot of visual novels with small teams, and they feel like, you can tell this is a small team, but like
what does polish in a visual novel mean?
Really good, consistent art, good, consistent writing, like everything. Sound design doesn't just feel like they grabbed it from a crappy library or something.
Okay.
Like it feels like a very good professional product. But as you guys know by now, like my favorite kinds of media, like be it games or movies or shows or whatever, is usually...
Wait, can we all say what our interpretation of the kind of games you like and media?
You're gonna say garbage and shit.
No. I think you have fantastic taste.
Okay, no, how would you define Alex's taste?
I would say that Alex likes stuff that you would often consider kind of depressing.
Okay, yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's not great. Alex has never recommended a bad piece of media to me. Not even once.
Define Alex's taste.
He likes games that are thoughtful and often anime inspired.
Okay. I'm gonna keep it short and simple and say he likes garbage.
Yeah.
No, Alex likes things that are incredibly cute and like style, and then incredibly depressing and horrifying in story and execution.
Well, I would say this one is not particularly depressing or horrifying.
No, that's good.
It's pretty wholesome. There are some horror elements, but I wouldn't say like that's the core of it. Like that's not what you're there for. what I like most, like how I would define it, I guess, is anything that has really well developed characters and then putting those characters into a story that like draws you in and wraps you up in it. Like I really love stories that just go for it and they like shake up your expectations and they aren't predictable. Like, you know, they subvert expectations is probably the biggest one. And I would say Heart of the Woods has all of that. Like it's a really, really compelling story and the characters are super great. Like they feel very, very real. Like talking at it at a very high level, there's some stuff I really appreciate about that game story. Like, if you guys, I'm sure you guys remember that I played through Wonderful Every Day, which I did
40 hours or something.
60.
Which was very depressing, right?
Yeah, extremely. I finished it and I didn't bring it up because it seemed irrelevant to talk about anymore. But I thought it was great, but yeah, like you were saying, it's also 60 hours. So it has the tendency to over-explain everything. Like one tiny thing happens and they ruminate on it for like 40 minutes. So what I appreciate about Heart of the Woods is that it's a really tight, like 6 or 7 hour experience. Like some major event will happen and they don't dwell on it. Like they basically say, oh, that happened. Let's keep the story moving forward. And it's just, it's a really easy, it's way easier to sit down with that game for like a 3-4 hour session than it was to sit down with Wonderful Every Day because you just feel exhausted. So the story itself is a really cool blend of things. I won't get into super details because it's a visual novel. The whole thing is the story. But it's fantasy, it's adventure, but above all of that, it's a romance story, which I don't know. Romance in visual novels is a really weird thing for me. Like I find it is either trite or just like feels extremely unrealistic. Like that's like you see the writing. It's like, that's not how romance naturally develops in the real world. Like,
but yeah, it's not, well, these aren't the real worlds, but is it a choose your own adventure romance, or is it like a predetermined romance where it's like, here's the story you're going through and you'll make choices along that way, or what?
More the latter, where it is relatively, like, I think there are about 4 or 5 choices you make along the way. And actually, I'll get back to that. There's some cool stuff they do with the choices. But yeah, when it comes to the romance, like I said, usually in visual novels, it can feel pretty trite. Never felt that way in here. It felt really natural. Like the writing felt actually really great. And I found myself pretty attached to the characters. So yeah, I was actually into the romance side of it. And on that note, it should be noted, it's a Yuri VN, which means it's an LGBTQ love story. So, and it handles the queer side of that writing in a really, really, really good way. Like speaking of things feeling natural, it always feels natural. Like it never feels pandering. Like when I played Dream Daddy, I just did not like it at all because it felt pandering. Like it didn't feel real. But this one, like the way they handle that side of things in this actually kind of reminds me of The Missing, in how it's not afraid to talk about real life issues that people who are gay or lesbian or trans, whatever, what they have to deal with. Like it doesn't sugarcoat them, but similar to how it doesn't just sit on one topic for forever and just do it to death, it doesn't ruminate on it. Like there is a point where one of the characters is talking about having been bullied for being gay, and then they just continue. Or another character talks about how she was rejected by her peers for being trans. And like it just feels like how the flow of a real conversation would go. And it's great. One of the things, like mentioning the way that they do choices that I haven't really seen in visual novels, that it's a really cool addition, was let's say you have 2 choices. One is console this person, or the other is like tell them to fight. Right? So you hover your mouse over the 2 options, and if you hover your mouse over one of them, it'll actually show you what your line will be, and it has like this inspiring art of what your character will be looking like when they're saying it. Then the other one is just like the opposite, like whatever the character art will be in the other line, which is just a really nice way. It's kind of like in Mass Effect, where you're like, oh, I'm going to select this option, and oh, that didn't come out how I meant for it to. Yeah. But this one shows you exactly what it means, and it does it in a good way. So yeah, story is really, really good. I would recommend it for the story, but the rest of it is great too. The art is excellent. The music is really, really wonderful. The writing in general is pretty great. It actually has really, really good accessibility options, which isn't something that I often think about in visual novels, but
like what? What are some accessibility options?
Like it has described audio. It has support for fonts that help with dyslexia.
Oh, that's what you. Okay, yeah, you
like,
sent that image to the chat. Okay.
Yeah, like you can turn off screen shake if that's something that you think is going to bother you. Like it has a whole bunch of stuff, and yeah, I appreciated all of that. Yeah, it's really good. I think the developer support of the game has been really cool, especially because they're so small. Like it only came out within the past week, and they've already put out a big patch addressing a bunch of fan feedback. So like there was a crash in the game, and there were some typos and stuff like that, and they've already gone there and been like, "Yep, that's all fixed." So
it's cool that they're able to be so nimble, and I like, not to be reductive, but I wonder if that's like part of like a visual novel being like a relatively more simple like medium. I don't even know if that's true compared to like a like a Sea of Thieves. I don't know why I picked Sea of Thieves, but like like a third person like adventure game, or like a more traditional non-text based experience. I wonder if it's easier to get in there.
Yeah, it probably is, because it is more linear. And if I don't know what engine they're using, they could be using their own. They could be using something like Ren'Py, or like, I don't know. So if it's their own, then that's a bigger thing to do. But if they're using an engine like Ren'Py, then whatever. Yeah, that is like a 20-minute fix for some of it. But either way, it's just nice to see them being nimble and taking fan feedback. But if I were to give it any criticism, it would be that sometimes the writing uses a few too many like simile heavy stuff for my liking. Stuff like, and her hair was as dark as the coffee in my hand, like that kind of stuff. And I just find that a little like, I roll my eyes at it every now and again, but that's about it. Like that's my only complaint, is sometimes
a little flowery.
Yeah, it's a little flowery. But yeah, I thoroughly recommend it. I think I would especially recommend it to you, Allison. I get some A Place Further Than the Universe vibes from it. And
oh, hell yes. I was already brought this up on Steam, and I was like, my fingers over the button, and I'm pressing on it now.
To be fair,
it looks so good.
It does have a demo. So if you want to try that out first, just to kind of get a vibe for the characters, has a free demo on Steam. But yeah, I hope it's successful for the devs, and I'm super looking forward to keeping up with that studio and seeing what their new projects are.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really great. I'd love to, if you play through it, I'd love to get your thoughts on some of the story points that it hits, because it does not go the direction I thought it would.
Okay. I'm intrigued now. I'm really intrigued. Like it looks really good.
Everything you recommend, Alex, ends up like that.
But this one's in a more wholesome way.
Oh.
I do like, though, that it sounds like one of the things that I've always had trouble. I haven't played that many visual novels, but when you do, I don't want the ones that last like 40 hours or whatever. And that's honestly the thing that's probably kept me from trying out Wonderful Everyday. And this, like, just having it be like, here's the story we're telling, and here's how long we need to tell it. That sounds really exciting for me, at least.
Yeah. Why did you leave out the best part? Heart of the Woods is a fantasy Yuri visual novel, blah blah blah, about paranormal investigation, ancient mysteries.
So
yeah, that part seems cool.
Yeah, there is
a love between two girls that transcends life and death. Man,
I didn't want to give too much away, because I think it actually benefits.
That's on the Steam page.
Yeah, it benefits a lot from going in blind, honestly. Like
Coffee Girl, what?
The paranormal, like the basic conceit is that the game starts with two girls who are traveling to this very isolated town to film some footage from a tip they got about for their YouTube show. Like they call out YouTube by name.
Okay.
But it's
I'll get patched out in 5, 4, 3.
I hope YouTube doesn't notice it. I think it benefits from it. And yeah, I love it. Some of the writing is very woke. They talk about big mood and stuff like that, but it's great.
That's a big mood there, right there.
Yeah. I think you'll love it, Allison.
Big mood talking about big moods. Heart
But
of
the
the
art,
Big
the
Move.
like you said, the art is very good. I really like it.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to start playing this.
Yeah, let me know what you think. I look
I
forward to
will,
your
definitely.
thoughts, especially the latter half.
I'm looking at this at like the Steam page. One of the screenshots is 3 girls standing around and one saying it's going to get bad pretty soon. And I was like, yep, that's an Alex game. That's some Alex media.
Stuff does get pretty bad at some point, but that's about as far as I'll go for now.
Yeah, no, that like reading like there's paranormal investigation, ancient mysteries. I love that shit. And if you had mentioned that before, I'd be like, oh, I would have been on board a lot sooner.
It's funny because I'm usually not into that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's great. Nothing but positive things to say about it, and I look forward to the end of the year talks we'll be having because I'm sure it'll come up again.
It'll get
Where's
shunted
Sam's
off.
spreadsheet? Somebody else has to get tracked on Sam's spreadsheet.
I'll put it on the list. All right. Well, I think unless anyone has farewell to Reggie, we kind of talked about. Did we talk about that on this episode? No, we didn't. Did
We made mention of it.
We just made a mention. Yeah.
We made a
remember
joke
if that
about
was
Doug
before we
Bowser.
I just couldn't remember if we started that before the because that was your intro, right? Yeah, just I was never like super into Reggie. I thought he was weird, like didn't fit Nintendo's playful attitude. Like he seems like a nice guy, but he just seems so like stiff. But I guess everyone at Nintendo seems stiff. It's weird.
I think there was just kind of a cult of Reggie that kind of formed at some point.
Yeah,
he was funny.
He was good spirited about it. So
and he was a good sport about his awkwardness being funny.
I think just his like, the way he presented himself was always like very stiff and like play the game.
Who knows how much you can read into it too, but last year at E3, Waypoint talked to a lot of developers about how they handle crunch, and his answer was one of the most in-depth and interesting and I think meaningful answers that anyone gave to that question. It's hard to know how seriously he takes the stuff that he said to Waypoint's reporters, but I don't remember who it was exactly who asked him. But
I think it was Austin, because Austin interviewed him the year before when that conversation was going.
But assuming that he was being honest in that conversation, and I don't really have a reason to assume otherwise, I think that was a really meaningful, powerful thing to say from someone with that kind of position. And I hope that he was treating business at Nintendo of America like that, because if he was, that means it has been a good place to work. And that's cool. We especially need more of that right now in that industry.
Yeah. He said he's retiring, so that kind of tells me he's like I'm done. I got my money. I'm gonna walk away. But I saw people speculating, I don't know. He loves video games in the way that like EA or Activision could really use. Like, I don't see that happening.
So I could see it. I don't think he's leaving Nintendo to go to one of those places.
That's why he says he's retiring. I think he's done.
I think he means it. Well, I think
he could pop up again and like. I don't think he's going to another company.
If Activision has a bad year and they want to see a change in leadership and they're willing to pay him a lot of money, he's not that old. Like I could see him.
No, but he also doesn't need to work ever again. President of Nintendo of America.
He was there through a lot of it. Like he's kind of like Iwata in the way that he saw the company go from like the GameCube was a flop. Like he kind of came in right when he was the one who unveiled the Game Boy Micro, right? Or
maybe
he unveiled the DS. Did he? Like at least
I think so. I think that was his I'm here to kick ass and whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah, but like he saw the rise of the Wii. He saw the rise of the Wii like come to prominence, and then like the Wii U kind of fall out, and then like he's leaving on a really, really high note with the Switch. So
and like, I wonder, like, because I mean, you hear about Nintendo or like Sony Japan and Sony America kind of butting heads on things with like after the PS3 and Sony America being like, "What the fuck is this?" And like, I wonder how similar of a relationship like Nintendo of America and Nintendo of Japan have.
It always seemed like they were more synchronized than Sony ever was.
Totally.
Maybe. Yeah. It's very possible.
Seemed that way. I don't know for sure.
Yeah,
obviously.
Exactly. That like we haven't heard anything. but maybe we can email to write to a certain podcast if there's any.
Maybe I'm ignorant to this, but it seems like so much more of Nintendo's first-party developers are based in Japan as compared to Sony, where they seem more spread out all over the world. So, in a way, it's more like Nintendo of America and Nintendo Europe can kind of their roles are both very clear. Whereas with Sony, my understanding is that like Sony America works more with third party than with first party than Sony Japan does for certain projects. So it's a lot more, they're a lot more disparate as a company and spread out anyway.
Yeah. But I also feel like the Nintendo studios are way more anonymized. Like if you think about Sony Studios, you got like Naughty Dog and stuff, which is obvious. What do you Nintendo have? Like there's Retro that I can think of. There's Treehouse, which does the translations.
It's like localization stuff. That's so it's like its own thing. It's not even like a game studio.
Like those, really. But those are the ones that come to mind for me.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's others, but
Nintendo's just really big, and they just keep everything. It's Nintendo.
Yeah.
But there's like the Zelda team, but there's like
is a second party.
Game Freak is not owned. Yeah, as second party. They're not owned by Nintendo.
Yeah.
They make the Pokemon games though. How they got that sweet gig, I don't know.
And Card Jockey, what was that called?
Pocket Card Jockey.
Card Jockey.
That game is so
good. That was
good.
a good game.
Trembo, Jumbo, the badass elephant.
Yeah. Wait, don't they have one coming out soon? That's like the village or town. Yeah, town. That's what it is.
Sometime, and then also supposedly Pokemon later this year.
Yeah, we'll see.
So that'll be interesting to see. So we're only 4 scant months away from E3.
Boy,
that's right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Do you think there will be a Switch hardware update?
No.
I've heard speculation.
Not in the way you're talking about. Like they'll probably like.
I could see that 2DS version of the Switch, like a handheld specific version with controllers that are bolted on.
I honestly really doubt that though, because that would completely
split the user base.
And then also it wouldn't work with anything with motion control. So
that's true.
And also a lot of
Mario Party, right?
That's like I think that's a big one.
I don't think they would care. There were games on the.
You could get Joy-Con after the fact, but I don't know. I don't think there will be like there might be like some improvements.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think there'll be any hardware revisions that anyone that already owns a Switch will want.
They won't do They won't do a PS4 Pro or 1X version of the Switch.
No.
Not yet.
No. I don't think they'll ever do that. And even if they do, they've done that with like the new 3DS XL, but like it didn't matter.
You're right.
2 games used it or whatever. And then the last rumor I want to touch on, Xbox Live, Xbox published games and possibly streaming coming to the Switch.
That would be amazing.
Ori and the Blind Forest, Ori and the Will of the Wisps on Switch. That's
like the idea of Game Pass becoming kind of a ubiquitous thing like Netflix is really, really appealing actually. Because I already think Game Pass is really good.
Yeah, I don't like it's not the way I play games. But like I could totally see myself like the way they add games, like with Sea of Thieves being on there at launch, Forza was on there at launch, I think.
Crackdown
3 on there at launch. Like it becomes like a more compelling thing if Microsoft made more games that I want to play.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the big thing for me right now is like Microsoft isn't making games I really want to play. I hope someday.
There's also a pretty extensive library in there of third-party games, aren't there?
Yeah, there is. I'm just not going back really recently to play older games. Like if they put like having that on Switch and I can play like, I can play Sea of Thieves on the toilet or whatever,
where you should.
Hey,
Sea of Thieves belongs.
Whoa!
Wow. Hey, that sailing is real good. It's better than Wind Waker.
The water is amazing.
Anyway,
I didn't even play Sea of Thieves.
I watched.
I did play Sea. Oh, I played Sea.
No,
of
I'm talking
Thieves.
about Alex.
I watched a lot of it.
That doesn't matter.
The water was amazing. That's all I can
Just
really
'cause you
say.
don't like what kind of game it is doesn't mean it's bad. That's not how it works.
It had two enemy types: skeleton and big skeleton.
I played Sea of Thieves more than anybody else here, and that game is a very specific game for a very specific audience.
Oh, yeah, it is. I liked the sailing, and then I went, oh, yeah, no, there's nothing else for me here. And I hope that the people who are playing that enjoy it. But my point being, I wish Microsoft made more exclusives I wanted to play, and that would make things more interesting. But Sony has kind of the market cornered on what I enjoy playing mostly.
Oh man, what if you could play Halo on your Switch?
Yeah,
How weird
exactly.
is
Like
that?
Halo on the Switch, like
Gears of
that.
War.
Like, what do you? Okay, do you think we hear about this at E3? Who do we hear about it from first? How do they introduce it? E3 predictions right now.
I don't know. I feel like we should plan a podcast around this. I think this is a big question.
I don't know if it's going to happen. Like it just seems
Too good to be true.
Too good to be true. Because for one, a lot of Xbox One games are not going to run on a Switch, so it'd have to use that streaming.
Yeah. I could totally see that being announced, like because they've talked about it already.
It doesn't have built-in Ethernet already, though. I mean, I guess they've done streaming games in Japan.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Wi-Fi. The experience over Wi-Fi would be terrible.
That's
the Switch is already not very good on Wi-Fi in the first place.
That's kind of my point. Yeah, is I don't know how it would play.
Sure, possibly. But let me hit you with this. So, Master Chief walks out on stage.
Like John Spartan.
Yeah, John Spartan, Master Chief, and the Master Chef Gordon Ramsay. They're out there on stage. No, so Master Chief walks out on stage, and then Cortana pops up. But then instead of saying like, "Oh, Chief," blah 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 blah, it's like, "It's a me, Mario." And then Master Chief takes off the helmet. Miyamoto in the Master Chief costume.
No, we're done here.
And then Eves comes up on stage with his gun, and they do the pose again.
And Mario Cross Rabbids is coming to Xbox One X.
Oh God.
Sean Layden's just like in the back of the room, just like wringing his hands and screaming curses. Because Sony's the only one that's not invited to have fun with everyone else.
Yeah, he's invited. He won't go. Anyway, yeah, I'm worried about Sony because they make the games I want to play, but they're just I don't have faith in them anymore.
It's been a sine wave between Sony and Microsoft of hubris. Where like one's hubris goes up, the other's goes down. Like right now, Microsoft is down, so they feel like they're really wholesome or like they're really genuine. With
I think
everything
it's also like the leadership. Like
and I think it's also the action too. Like I think they are doing legit things that are really good for video games
Microsoft?
As a medium. Yeah, more so than Sony. I mean,
like the things that come to mind right now, Game Pass, but like also like that accessibility controller and stuff.
Absolutely,
like
yeah.
And like part of that's like they've got Microsoft money to throw around. So even if they're down, they can like, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to build it into a platform. We're going to, be a brand more than like a box. Yeah. And I think that makes sense going forward. Like there will always be a need for a box with the way internet is. But
another one, look at how both companies handled the reception to the crossplay thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Microsoft didn't handle it great last time around, but like it's just like, come on, man. Like let's get it done. And then like Sony keeps flubbing that. Yeah. And it's I think it like I think Phil Spencer has been like an incredible leadership person wonderful for them. And I hope he is there for a long time doing good work. He's a young guy, so he can he's real young for he's probably older than I think, but he like for someone in his position, you think older people.
I imagine he's older than Matrick.
Matrick's a fucking idiot. Is he? He's like his suits. He always looked like such a fucking used car salesman, didn't he? I don't know.
There's some certain amount of fish oil with Matrick, but
he looks like a used car salesman. Anyway, that's going to do it for episode 58 of Gaming Fix Presents, the podcast. I've been your host, your girl's favorite, Ricky Leon S. Kennedy, aka Andre Cole. You can find me on Twitter at Coolsl, COOLSL4W. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Fix Podcasts, social media, all fine podcast locations where you can get farmed table podcasts. Leave us a review if you feel so inclined. Alex, where can people find you?
You can find me at fix.space.
Oh, okay. Allison, where can people find you?
People can find me on Twitter at WRITERSERENYTY, and also on Twitch at Happy Beeps here, but I've been so busy at work I haven't really been streaming lately. So
okay. And Pat?
You can find me at JesterPC on Twitter, and everything kind of is linked there.
Okay, just Google him. All right. A little longer than I thought it would go today with only 4 of us. So thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week with another podcast.
Bye.
I won't, but everyone else will. So rip me and my moving.
Good luck. Good luck living without internet.
good luck.
Oh my God, it's gonna be terrible. I'll actually, I'll have my phone, so that's it. But anyway, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.